Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host. I'm glad you're back watching the show or listening, whichever the case may be. We've got an awesome guest today, Lauren Shippy. We've just been catching up and having a great conversation about Florida and New Jersey, and we have a lot in common. so I think you're going to enjoy this podcast. And first off, Lauren, I just want to say thank you for doing this. I know how busy you are in your business, and I appreciate you taking the time to share with our audience.
Oh, absolutely, Gary. I'm so looking forward to this. Thank you. And just enjoyed our catching up prior to this. And, it just sounds like you've built such an amazing audience. And I'm just looking forward to being able to share with them.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of folks listening that will definitely benefit from this. I mean, I've promoted to them before the whole concept of when it comes to marketing, you want to stand out, and having a book, for example, is an excellent way to do that. There's lots of things you can do, but having that one-on-one connection with somebody, it's just vital. So but without spoiling everything, let's I want to hear from you. They don't want to hear from me. But could you tell us a little bit, Lauren, about how you got into this? We none of us are really born saying we're going to do what we're doing now. We were born saying we're going to be an astronaut or a police officer or something like that. But what got you into this? Was there a pivotal moment or a inspiration from a boss or something? Maybe a grandparent? If you would share that, what got you into this, and then we can get into some we call meat and potatoes.
Yeah, sure. That's great. Well, I love this because our tagline at StoryWork is define your story, make it matter. So, I always love to share the story. And also when I work with people or talk with people every day, hear about the threads, I call them, throughout their lives that got them to where they are. And so, my threads, I would say, would be a combination of growing up in a family of entrepreneurs. My family owned automotive dealerships, and my grandfather inherited them by working very, very hard. And then, my father and my mom both worked in the business. And so growing up around the dinner table, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about business and teams and people. And I loved it. I was an only child. So I wasn't really playing with siblings. Of course, I had lots of friends in the neighborhood, but I just spent a lot of time being around adults at an early age and being in the business. And I went every weekend and I was there. And so, it's kind of what I knew growing up. And then I always had a sense that I wanted to be in consulting. I thought it would be really awesome to be able to generate ideas alongside of people and encourage them. So I love encouraging people. I love equipping them with knowledge and skills they need. And I love just watching them walk forward and leap into new levels to help them grow and be successful. And so I had the opportunity right out of school to work for a startup, REIT. And so I did that for quite a while, traveled around the country. The properties were in different areas and just learned everything from cold calling to operations to finance. And so by the time I left there, I was operating as COO, and then I went on to operate in that role for several other companies. And then finally, about 7 or 8 years ago, I formed StoryWork, and that's my consulting company, just to be on the other side of things and to be able to do exactly what I had highlighted earlier. And I also, a couple of years back, co-founded a marketing agency called The Marketing Engine with my business partner, Gene Roberts and Rachel Addington, who now runs it in the day-to-day. And so just all of that has been so rewarding, and I've enjoyed the journey. And for any entrepreneurs out there or self-employed, it's a winding road. It's not linear, right? It is a winding road that gets us to where we are. So that's a bit of my story and how I got here.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, in hindsight, the path that got us here makes perfect sense, obviously. But when you're going through your journey, I mean, I'm a huge goal setter and planner, and I believe in that firmly. It's just you want to make it and put it in pencil, because you're going to, any given day, your path could be diverted. But the key is to not look at it as a negative or a stop. Oh my gosh, this isn't working. I'm not gonna. No, look at it as a an opportunity to maybe perfect your plan or take advantage of an opportunity that you didn't otherwise see. It takes a while to see that, but and have that kind of a mindset. But I think mindset is really critical when it comes to our business. And you coming from the operations area that involved marketing, which is in operations, you get to see it from behind the scenes. It's like you have a different lens than the salesperson on the front line, and that there's always been that unique relationship. But so when it comes to marketing, let's just jump into some meat and potatoes. Obviously, there's no marketing that ever lasts for a marketing campaign that lasts forever. The best ones have a life cycle, like the old McDonald's, two all beef patties, less special sauce, lettuce, cheese. One of the greatest campaigns in the history of marketing, but just like any other campaign, it ended. So what's moving the needle today? What are you seeing that's working? Because everybody listening has a business, they're real estate agents, and they're just looking for what can I do that's working? you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. It's so crowded out there now, right? And especially with
Mhm.
all the digital forms of communication and social media channels and things like that. I know that,
Mhm.
I've worked with some real estate agents, and then also just some people
Mhm.
in the industry, some leaders in the industry. And, I think it's really tough because there's this expectation of you have to share more and you have to be on all the channels, and you have to be checking these boxes X, Y, and Z. And I actually like to back people up and move a little bit against the grain and
Mhm.
practice what I call identity based strategy. And so honestly, what I see working right now is intentionality and communication and authenticity and transparency over 8 posts a day. So I would say, I would just encourage your audience to take a little bit of a step back, and everybody can
Mhm.
do this. That's the great part about this. There's something that makes you in particular unique. It's
Mhm.
different from everyone else. And so as you look at your story, as you look at your threads throughout life, what stands out to you? What do you call out, right, from those things? And how can you use that in your messaging to show up and connect with your audience? And so I would say
Mhm.
that's where intentionality comes in, really seeking to add value based on who you are and what drives you, also that will serve your audience. And being really just authentic and transparent with your audience, because I think there's so much noise out there and there are so many people sharing so many things. What I find, even in my own communications, is that what resonates the most is when you get just the most real with people. And so, there's not a set formula. You're not going to crack the code in terms of the algorithm, honestly, quite honestly. I mean,
Mhm.
this is what we've seen across the board. But
Yeah.
when you really share authentically, and who you are and what your message is as a business, that translates to people. They recognize when someone is clear, they have clarity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, a lot of it sounds like what it comes down to is connecting with each other. I mean, connecting with the people you're trying to reach at a more personal level. I think if it, you know, there's so much out there, like you said, it just we're bombarded every single day. It doesn't. You turn on our computer and it's just
Yeah,
right in your face. You get in your car and drive down the road. It's on the radio. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere.
yeah,
Audible. They all have their infomercials and the road signs. It's
right.
just relentless and endless. It's on TV. In fact, what's interesting about television, if you think when we were kids, they called them television programs and nightly sitcoms and all that. Well, now I know why the word program is in there. You know, I didn't know
Yeah,
that when I was a child.
exactly. Yeah,
Yep. But they're
that's right.
connecting with us just like we should be connecting with our audience. So is there something like how do you activate really good word of mouth strategies? Because that to me is the best kind, when people are talking about you and what you're doing to others, it works for me because it's authentic and genuine. But the key question is always, well, where do you start? How do you start that? And then you were talking about some
Yeah.
of the posts, posting online and so forth. that's probably a great place to start. But any particular strategies there, or thoughts, or subjects, or how do you? I mean, I probably keep going because I know it's such a profound question. Um, but I'll kind of tee it up for you. So a lot of people, particularly in real estate sales, they try to appeal to all people. They try to be. They'll see on the business cards, I specialize in, and they name 10 different things, but that's
Yeah.
not specializing. So if you say, I focus on, you know, down senior citizens or something like whatever you want, whatever the proper term is, that probably will get you, you know, smaller market share, but of that market, you would probably get a much larger share than people who are trying to specialize in 10 different things. But I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Going back to the original question,
That's good.
how do you best kick off that word of mouth marketing that we all want,
Yeah, well, I think both of those points are really, really good.
Mhm.
And I think also you can breathe a sigh of relief if you're listening to this because it's not complicated, but it is hard for people to practice because I'll tell you why. The underlying the underlying habit you have to overcome here to practice this is distraction. So you've
Mhm.
got to block out some distraction. You have to schedule some just quiet time in your day, some time where you can focus, turn on do not disturb modes, and just get like a piece of paper. You guys can't see this is my
Yep.
background here, and and just think through what you can do to add delight to your
Mhm.
clients. That's all you need to do. And I'm going to give you an example of this. It's great. You could look
Okay.
up the Popsicle Hotline. It's a hotel in California that has a
Mhm.
popsicle hotline, and you can pick up a little phone by the pool at any hour of the day. It can be 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I'd like a popsicle, please. And they will serve you a popsicle on a silver platter with white gloves, and it's free. Okay. Any time of day. They are ranked one of the top hotels on TripAdvisor. Okay. And it's not a nice hotel. It's not. It's maybe equivalent to a Motel 6 type of hotel. But because they have
Okay.
this service, it has gotten them this level of recognition, right, on
Hmm.
TripAdvisor, and therefore increase their hotel sales and their PR by, I mean, how much? Think about that. So that's a simple
Right.
example, but really what is required for you to generate word of mouth strategy is to deliver delight to your
Yeah.
clients. How do you do that? Think about who your clients are and think about ways in the past, things that you've done or said. It can even be something so small that just
Mhm.
delivers delight to them. That is
Yeah.
what wins right now. So, in terms of, I would say, really promoting yourself, it's putting others first and being authentic, right? And then in terms of word of mouth strategy, again, it's putting others first and thinking about what they truly want and adding those little touches of delight. It's the thank
Yeah.
you gift, but maybe it's thoughtfully curated. You saw or heard them say something that they really love, right? Through conversation, you got to know them and you gave them a gift that's personalized or handwritten notes. The power of a handwritten note to receive it in the mail these days is huge. And I think we need to go back to more of that. When I receive
Yeah.
a handwritten card, I have a friend, she's a very, very successful realtor in our area.
Mhm.
We went out to a business lunch with a couple people and, I had paid and, didn't, we do that all the time, right? But a week later received a handwritten card from her thanking me for that, personally
Yeah.
signed and all those things. And so sometimes it's just the little things, but they go a long way. And what that does is it moves you to the top of their mind. And so say
Yeah.
I just received something, a card or, even a text, hey, saw this, thought of you, whatever it was. And then I'm headed to lunch with a friend. Well, if that just really made my day, guess what? I'm going to tell my friend about it at lunch. And
Yeah.
then, and they're going to say, oh, wow, great. You know what? I've been looking for a place, or I've got a friend that's looking for a place. Maybe I'm going to shoot them the contact information, and
Yeah.
that is how it happens, and
Yeah.
this I truly believe is the way of the future because we are so um, digitally added out, if you will.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's my spiel on really delivering delight and activating word of mouth strategy.
Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world. Every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto. Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse, blockchain processing? We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live. Be ready to take notes and ask questions because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to GaryRealEstateWithGaryWilson.com. Click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class as many as you want going up to like the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care. Well, I love it. I mean, the first one, obviously unique, and kudos to the hotel in California doing
The
that. And
Magic
I've never
Castle
heard
Hotel. Yeah.
What's it called?
It's the Magic Castle Hotel. It is in Hollywood, California.
Okay.
And they are the ones that have the popsicle hotline.
Yeah. Well, I've been out there quite a bit, that I'm going to remember that because clearly it's unique and nobody else would ever have thought of that. And they get it because they thought of it first. And everybody else that tries is just going to be a copycat. So, but the other thing, yeah, the other thing too is the personal thank you notes. And my stepmother, bless her, still does that today. And I learned that from her. She's like, it doesn't matter what the circumstance was. She always sends a sense of thank you note. And I'm trying to remember it was I don't know if it was a president, it was a politician that made a habit of doing that. He would send thank you notes to everybody he met. And I wish I could remember his name, so I can't. I'm drawing a blank right now. But I know there was a great coach named Brian Buffini who's down near Carlsbad, California, and he teaches real estate agents, and that's one of his key things that he teaches is, look, guys, just I promise you, you do this one thing, and you'll never be short of business. It's just write authentic, genuine thank you notes to people for every circumstance, every person you met. Somebody took you to lunch. Somebody, paid your parking fee because you didn't have a credit, whatever,
That's it. Right. Yeah.
Do it. And it does work because I know when I receive them, it does bring delight. Very rarely do any of us get mail like that anymore. All of our mail is, think about it, it's bills.
So true.
And
right.
yeah, in marketing pieces, how often do we get something in mail that's really personal other than our birthday and, Christmas, Hanukkah, what have you? So in any case, all right, I appreciate that. That really allows us to simplify things and get very granular with the marketing. Anybody can use it. If you're a dentist, you can use it. If you're a chiropractor, you can use it. If you're a real estate agent, you can use it. Anybody can use it. But the challenge is like we talked about before, is, man, there's so much coming at us. It's easy to get that squirrel syndrome, or like the shiny object. Holy crap, that looks good. I should do that. Oh, that looks good. Next day you got the next best idea. How do you manage your mindset to really block and granted, there might be some good ideas out there, but we can't do them all. We can't really even look at them all. But is there a strategy or a technique used to help people stay focused and not get distracted by all the distractions and really focus on things like sending thank you notes,
Absolutely. Yeah. So I call this getting off the hamster wheel. As if you think of a hamster, on a continuous wheel running very fast, you don't really have much time to stop and think intentionally. And even 5 to 15 minutes a day can move the needle in your business the most. And that's why I said this will make the most impact. And it's not hard to practice. It's not complicated, but it is difficult. And the reason it's difficult is because we have such a hard time slowing down, turning on do not disturb, putting our phone away, right? And just sitting with a blank space. And honestly, that's really what's going to move the needle. If we think about, okay, who am I serving? What do they want the most? How can I delight them? How can I practice that? What's the system I set up to make sure that I do that? Right. And so we need to build that rhythm into our routine. So the first thing that you need to build in, and I encourage people, to think about their most productive time of day. So for me, that's in the early morning. So I try, and I don't do it every day, but aim for, 3 to 4 days out of the week to have at least like 20, 30 minutes to just spend that time writing or just reflecting and asking those bigger picture questions. And I don't even keep my phone actually in the same room that I sleep in. So when I get up, I don't have my phone, and I do that on purpose because then I can't pick it up and I can't be distracted. And that's actually where all of these things came out. I mean, that's where StoryWork started. That's where the podcast started. That's where the book started, all because of that time. And it compounds. And so I would just encourage you all to think about your most productive time of day, when you're most clear, night, morning, whatever that is, and make sure that you can get your phone away from you, and just take these few questions that I've outlined over, even if you do this for 1 week, you say a month, if it's too hard, to do it every single day of, or every single week. And then measure that progress, have it measurable. Say, okay, I'm going to start. My one thing is going to be that I'm going to write notes, because if you pick more than one thing at a time, you're not going to actually be able to probably implement all of those things. So a great book, or if you guys listen to audiobooks, James Clear, Atomic Habits. I mean, it's one of the, best-selling books of all time. But a lot of this is, also from him, if you really want to dive into generating those habits. But the bottom line is those habits generate the foundation that allows you to be more intentional and authentic. And then that generates business growth. That's the trajectory there. That's why it's so important.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up. Years ago, just, going through a major life transformation, and I already was going exercising in the morning, physical exercise in the morning before I went to work and anything else. And then I started adding, quiet time. Some people call it silent prayer, meditation, just basically being still and being present. And I'm telling you, I've had more success, more great ideas, clarity, things like that, just awareness in those moments that I didn't have before. I was definitely on the hamster wheel, typical guy building the empire and ignoring everything else. And I paid a price for that, But now I tell you what, I've been doing it for decades, and that's where I draw the line. That barrier isn't crossed by anybody. People have called me because I tell them what my habits are. And some people, best friends, closest family members, will call in that time frame because they know I'm not working. I don't answer.
Don't answer.
And sometimes they're incredulous. Why wouldn't you answer it? Because it's that important. That's why,
That's right.
Hey, speaking of mindset, I want to take the next couple of moments because I know we're going to run out of time here very quickly. But let's keep the same theme going here. When it comes to personal growth and meaningful productivity, how can you be a game changer, not just for yourself but others, as opposed to just what I used to be, which is an outperformer? And is it similar to what I was describing there? Is that a common thing, or what do you recommend there?
I think that's absolutely what you were describing there. When I think of an outperformer, I definitely think of someone on the hamster wheel every day, just on your phone all day, making calls, hustling, striving, right? All focused on achievement, performance. And what I've learned personally as well is that I'd rather be a game changer than an outperformer, because an outperformer is exhausting and ultimately it leads to burnout. And a game changer pulls back a bit, takes the time to reflect and get off of the hamster wheel, even if it's a smaller percentage of the day, realistically, because there's still things to get done, right? And it can all get done, and it does all still get done. It's crazy how that happens when you just start to carve out that time. And you want more and more of that time as you start that habit. You look forward to it, and it's really the highlight of your day. It's the highlight of
Yeah.
my day most days. And
Yeah.
so, I would say that operating as a game changer is more fulfilling for sure, because you've
Mhm.
had time to reflect, kind of get your feet under you and get some
Mhm.
clarity in your mind. And when you move out into your workday with clarity of mind, that changes your whole day, because you're not like a
Mhm.
pinball machine, like a pinball going back and forth from thing to thing,
Oh
just
yeah.
following any phone call or lead or anything that appears in front of you. You're directed and you have intention and you can respond accordingly. So it's a completely different way of operating. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful and freeing, and everything still gets done. That's how I would
Yeah.
describe it.
It is. It's actually, when I think about it and I try to explain it to people, I don't know if I'm doing a good job because I know it sounds counterintuitive. I'm suggesting, hey, take some quiet time for yourself. Just be still, be present. We're not really doing anything. And in their mind, you're thinking, wait a second, I've got a lot of crap to do. I can't sit there.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're living proof. I'm living proof that when you develop that habit, it allows you to be far more efficient. And I think I know what it is too. Um, well, I'll give one example or one explanation. What I think it is most people throughout the day, if they're not really calm, stable, present, they're constantly going through their mind, what should I be doing now? What should I be doing next? This constant, mind gymnastics, if you want to call it that. And it takes a lot of time and mental energy to do that and figure out what they should be doing. Well, if you just simply calm down and realize, you know what, I'm going to do three things today, not 12 things, three things, but I'm going to do them really well, right?
Yes.
You
The
could
big
probably get a
three.
lot more done and a lot more, successfully by doing that, knowing what you're doing. You don't have to keep revisiting it all day long. It's just crazy.
That's
Um,
right.
but we probably have room for another question or two. When you so most of us start off growing ourselves personally, and we learn that if we help others, we serve others. Like Zig Ziglar says, helping if other people get what they want, you'll be able to get plenty of what you want. You start to develop some type of a business structure, and we'll call it an organization. Um, you know, how do you, like with your organization, how do you move your organization to growth by seeing, hearing, knowing the people, whether it's the people working for you, the people that you're serving in your business? Um, how do you go from developing yourself to developing others through your model? It's a
Yeah.
change. I don't even know
It's
if I could explain it. I probably did it
it
very
def
poorly over a lot of years.
no, it's
So,
definitely a shift. And it's, I think, if I just use myself as an example, I think when I started my own business, I thought about, I can't wait to help so many people, right? I was thinking from the perspective of myself. And I hope that that has completely changed as I've grown and changed to,
mhm.
how can I see, hear, and know that person that I'm serving first?
Yeah.
And um, and what does that mean in terms of generating a strategy for them that will move them forward personally and professionally? And in this time that we're in right now and that we're coming into, I think that that is going to become more and more important and intertwined. I think no
Yeah.
longer will we be able to completely say, hey, my personal is over here and who I am, and then what I do is over here and what it
Hmm.
is. I see that a lot is merging, and especially with the digital channels that we have and how people see your life. And I know for myself, I'm always looking at, well, who are they as a person? If I'm considering someone to partner with or work with, I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to look at how they interact and who they are, and all that flows from them and what they do. And the priority for me is more a person's maybe character and who they are and what they're producing out there, and if it's positive, and adding value, then I'm going to choose to work with them. So, I think it's really, as we look at people that we want to work with, or how do we see, hear, and know people, I think it's just taking the time to listen and
Yeah.
observe. And again, I think it's probably the practice of pulling back a little bit more and quieting ourselves internally first. And that comes with that
Hmm.
quiet time or reflection time. And when we have that, when we give that to ourselves, then we're really able to show up and be present with people and
Yeah.
see, know, and hear them better as we're slowing down a little bit. And then that enables
Yeah.
us to be more authentic and genuine, if that makes sense. So it's all connected. Is, I guess,
Yeah.
what I'm saying here is that it really,
Yeah.
it's like a pyramid. They build upon one another.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And you know, you mentioned the word listening a couple times, and to me, as I've matured and grown older and matured into life and the business too, the more I listen, the the better I am. I mean, I'm able to, because when you listen, the person you're listening to is actually telling you, what you need to know in order to help them. If you all you did was just show up with a sheet of questions, yeah, you'll gather information that way. But listen to people, let people tell their story. And then it'll make
Yeah.
sense why they feel the way they feel right now about purchasing a house, getting dental implants, whatever it is they're coming to you for, you
Yeah.
know, get the why behind why they're there, which means you got to listen. And all of a sudden you'll find out you got a friend. I mean, I got to tell you, Warren, I've somebody told me this years ago, and now I know what they mean is he told me that he developed more friendships from business than he ever got business from friends. And now that I'm where he is, this is 10 years later now. He's off. We call it in the golf zone. He's retired playing golf,
Yeah.
all the time.
The calls.
But we're still friends. We talk to each other regularly. And I said, I just want to thank you for that because, I'm having a lot more fun in life. I don't see my work as work. I see it as
Yeah.
is very fulfilling, serving people. And I do get the golf, by the way, but I don't do it to compete. I do it to have fun with somebody who would like to do business with, and it works. I've my probably my success rate now is as close to 100% as it's ever been. Whereas before, it was like a dogfight. I'm
Mm-hmm.
competing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not knocking competition of itself, but there's combative competition and there's collaborative competition. And when you learn to know
Absolutely.
somebody, like I have no problem. I've put what people would consider competitors on my podcast, and I know their audience is my audience. But that's why I have them on there because I want to show my audience I'm not just here to serve me. I'm here to serve them. And if me bringing on somebody else who's in the same business achieves that, then I've done a good deed for the day. And really high-minded people, successful people, see those types of behaviors and those types of habits, and that's who we want to do business with. So, um,
That's right.
any final words of wisdom? I mean, could be something from one of your family members. I know you come from an entrepreneurial family, maybe a grandparent. Grandparents are really
Mhm.
good at giving us words of wisdom. So, but whoever you come up with, anything you can share with people as we sign off on this.
Yeah, I love that. Grandparents do have a lot, a lot of wisdom. Uh, my grandfather actually was a writer, and so part of my threat, he used to write for the town newspaper. So
Mm-hmm.
it's it's pretty neat to see when I worked on my first e-course, the strategy masterclass. He was like in his late 80s or 90s, and I appointed him as my editor in chief. And so I printed out all of the text like really really large so he could see it, and he read the whole thing. Anyway, funny side note, but I would say that he just always encouraged me to just continue on, and I think in an intentional way. And when he made a mistake, he would own it. And so I guess it's just ownership. I think it's just what each of us can do that will help ourselves and those around us is just to think about, what can I own today? What can I take ownership of?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how will that help me become better for those that I serve? And so I think that,
Yeah.
again, I think that quiets us, and that ultimately um, helps us create more space to be available and present for others. And I think that's the best gift that we can give to the world right now, to our society, in our culture, and then also the people that we work with and do business with.
Yeah, I agree. Give people yourself, your time, your energy, and you'll have had a good, successful day. And your granddad sounds like a pretty awesome person, by the way. I'm so glad I got to know my grandparents. And now my parents are at that age, and my dad's my hero. He's 87 years old, and I'm getting to know him more now than ever before in my life. And I just told him at Father's Day, he leaned into me about something. I'm 61 years old, you know, and he called later and he said, "I'm really worried about that I didn't mean to do too hard." I said, "Dad, that's why I love you. Don't ever go soft on me. You be hard on me till the last day." And I meant that, because that's what we need in this world: authentic, genuine, and he's a true national hero. I'm not going to go on. We'll be on here for another hour, but
it's amazing.
The way he served his country and the things he did are things that impact all of us today. And people can research and Google my dad and find out more about him. But he's a very quiet person. But boy, he's a true American hero. And your granddad sounds like the same way, So
a lot of wisdom, and don't overlook that, those people in your life.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Amen. So listen, we're gonna wrap this up for you listening here. Boy, we really appreciate you leaving your podcast reviews. Lauren and I both appreciate it. Your review is our currency. It's what makes the podcast world go around. We help each other, serve each other. And your reviews like the fuel. It's like the currency of podcasts. So if you could take the 5 minutes and do that, I know Lauren and I would both appreciate it. We appreciate you listening to the podcast or watching, whichever the case may be. We want you to, be safe. God bless you and your families, and we will see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.